It has been almost a year since I have bought this, a cinema camera from 2011, and today I'm telling you why you too should buy a 13-year-old cinema camera. Some friends of mine have a metal band called Androdite, and a few months ago I directed, shot and edited a music video for them. We pretty much had zero budget for this music video. All we had was gear I already owned, a few more lights we were able to borrow from friends, we got the location by pulling in some favors, and we had a couple of super nice helpers on set who donated their time to make this happen. The location was this dark and unused cellar, which was perfect for what we wanted to do. Basically, we used one room to set up the band and filmed all band-related shots there, and while the band and I were setting up in there, people were building another set in the room right across the hall. This allowed us to be super efficient and work in parallel, so we could then waste that time we saved on goofing off. The music video is separated into two parts. We just called them the blue part and the rage part, which got very interesting, but more on that later. The camera I brought for this shoot, of course, was the RED MX I bought last year. This is a proper cinema camera that was first introduced in 2011, and it's actually crazy how good it still holds up 13 years later. Here's the thing, I don't work on movies, I'm not a director of photography, and to be honest, I don't really want to be. I'm just a computer science student who likes making silly YouTube videos, but I have a lot of passion for this space. The reason I bought this camera was honestly because it's f***ing cool. And the reason I directed, filmed and edited this music video for completely free was because I wanted that experience and I wanted to set myself a challenge. And in the end, I'm very happy with how the results turned out, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Setup took a while, but then we could finally start filming the band shots, and I started off by just filming the band from different angles with the RED on a tripod and let them play through the song a few times while repositioning the tripod. After that I went handheld and we did a few more passes of the song while I was moving around with the camera to give me a bunch of different angles to work with. On set we had the recorded song playing on a speaker with the, metronome clicking added, and the band basically just had to pretend play to it, and in the edit I then had to sync up the 12 tracks manually based on the audio, which was not a lot of fun. But speaking of audio, that is one of the biggest drawbacks of using this camera, because for some reason it does not have a built-in microphone. To be honest, I have no idea what RED was thinking there. I use the built-in microphone on other cameras all the time for scratch audio, so I can just sync up clips from multiple cameras and a separate microphone. So if you need in-camera audio, even if it's just for syncing, you will need to attach a microphone. For some reason the mic port on mine is weirdly loose, but the RED Epic actually has two mic ins on the front, so I just used the other one. The microphone I used for this, which we also later used for all behind the scenes filming, is the Komica VM30. I want to thank Komica for sending this over for me to test. No money exchanged hands, and as always, all of the following thoughts are my own. Of course, this microphone is absolutely overkill for being used for scratch audio, but I really love the usability of it. You can turn the back of it to adjust the gain super quickly, and that was really helpful on this day because I would turn the gain up at the beginning when the song started playing, so I could make sure I was picking up the clicking from the metronome. Without that audio, I knew it would be impossible to sync later. And once the band started playing, of course everything got louder and I could quickly turn the gain down. I also took the VM30 on multiple trips for filming vlog style stuff, and I'm actually using it to record this entire video and have used it to record videos in the past, because this mic has one super nice trick up its sleeve. You can attach this receiver to your camera and actually use the mic completely wirelessly because it has a transmitter built in. That means you can mount it super close to your subject for getting the best possible audio without running a single cable. Or I don't know, maybe you want to record ASMR in hard to reach places? I have used it outdoors and indoors and can honestly say I really like it. The audio quality coming out of it is really impressive, and the versatility you get by being able to use it completely wirelessly is unmatched. After we wrapped up the band shots, we started filming the storyline for the music video in the second set. But first, a pizza lunch break. Jan, kannst du erklären, warum auf all meinem Gear Babypuder drauf ist?
Hier Das ist, weil Max hat seinen Arsch mit Babypuder eingerieben, damit er möglichst weich ist für das Video, das wir heute drehen. Und dann hat er sich einfach auf alles einmal draufgesetzt.
Und was machst du gerade so?
Ich schneide Paprika.
Erklär mal, wie die Paprika besonders lecker wird.
Indem man da reinschifft. Das sind wir.
Das bin ich.
Das ist mein Zuhause, das ist mein Gaming-Setup. Das rechts.
Basically, the idea behind the music video was that the singer of the band would play the protagonist, who lived in a bit of an intentionally crappy looking room and was still fighting with wounds from the past. Throughout the video, she would interact with a lot of stuff in the room, and you can see how she becomes more and more restless. We had a few important props in the room: a makeshift bed on the floor, a mirror which would later get destroyed, and a TV which was also enjoying its final hours at this point. The most important thing about this TV was that when nothing was connected to it, it would show this white static noise, which not every TV does, and was integral for the aesthetic of the video. There's something really important I realized while we were on set. Once we had everything in place with the makeshift room and the lighting, I realized it doesn't even matter what camera I point at this, it would probably look good either way. Which is a pretty sucky realization to have while you have next level back pain from shrimp posing all day with a rigged up cinema camera that weighs well over 6 kilos if I could have just shot it with my Sony camera. The RED Epic is super heavy and it runs pretty hot and it sucks power, and working with it definitely is slower than with a smaller camera because repositioning or adjusting the tripod or whatever you're doing, it just takes longer, and because of the weight and size you're also limited to where you can mount it. But I still think this camera is worth it in a lot of situations. There are a lot of effects in this video. The post-production took me over 50 hours just for a 4-minute video. And that's one of the reasons I am so glad I own the RED Epic, because despite it being 13 years old, it shoots 16-bit RAW in 5K, which allows for so much flexibility in post. Color grading that 16-bit RAW footage from the Mysterium-X sensor is so nice because there is so much information there, and I absolutely love the color science coming out of this camera. I would buy this camera again, just because I could swear the sensor is magic. Another reason I was super happy I used the RED Epic is because on a set like this, it gave me peace of mind. While on set, there were so many things I had to think about because I was not only filming everything, but also directing. So I was thinking about all the different shots, lighting, managing the people around me, all while also thinking about everything camera related, getting the exposure and framing right and so on. I was so glad to have a camera that shoots high quality RAW because it gave me the peace of mind that I have the flexibility in post. You can set the ISO in post, so I knew I didn't have to perfectly nail exposure. You can change the white balance in post and decide what color profile you want your footage to be in, and 5K is a significant bump in pixels up from 4K, allowing for more cropping and reframing. Just knowing that I have that flexibility afterwards meant I was stressing less about those things and could focus more on other things. As I mentioned before, the first 2.5 minutes or so of the video are themed blue to reflect the sad and very introspective mood of the protagonist. We had blue lighting and I put a lot of work into the color grading. The band shots also have a pretty heavy blue tint to match that. Also, color grading these band shots was not easy because the room we filmed the band in had a really ugly yellow color on the walls. Generally, there is a crazy amount of effects in this video, a lot of which you might not even notice. I mentioned earlier that I shot quite a bit using a tripod. Of course, static tripod shots don't fit well into a pretty energetic metal song. So in the edit I added camera shake, zooms, quick cuts, and a whole bunch of effects to match that energy. And I don't think there is a single shot in this video that doesn't have keyframes on it, to give the video a forward-going and restless energy. I used Resolve's built-in effects a ton, like the camera shake effect as well as the analog damage effect, to add this noisy VHS look that perfectly fit the shots with the TV. Also, I used the lens distortion effect a lot in combination with a zoom in. When you use this effect and add keyframes that increase the red, green and blue sliders to different values, you get this effect that pulls the edges of the frame outwards and also splits the RGB channels at the edges. But those are just the more subtle effects. I also added some effects that are pretty in your face. This kaleidoscope shot made with Resolve's mirrors effect and some keyframed rotations turned out pretty cool, and I also have a bunch of shots that involved masking, like this shot where we duplicated duplicated the protagonist in the frame by just keeping the camera on a tripod and having her sit in different locations, then mask the individual clips. Also, this shot where I masked out the singer and placed footage of lightning behind her, or this shot where I masked out the singer and duplicated the guitar player to both sides. I used that effect for multiple shots in the video actually. Just a quick tip, if you're shooting a music video for a metal band, don't do any visual effects that involve masking. I'm not even joking, because they all wear black and the instruments are also all black. So there is so little contrast for automatic masking or rotoscoping to work, and that cost me a lot of manual work. After the blue phase of the video, the increasing restlessness of the protagonist turns into rage, and she starts destroying stuff in the room, and at this point everything switches to red. Most of it was filmed with daylight balanced light, and then I color graded everything to be red. I wanted to really signify that there's like a switch in her that flips. So for the transition from everything being blue and sad to just absolute rage and everything being red, I came up with this shot. She closes her eyes, and when she opens them back up, her pupil turned red. This effect was done entirely in the color tab of DaVinci Resolve with a combination of a tracked mask that has the size keyframed and also the qualifier tool. It took me a few hours to get this effect looking just right, but I feel like it perfectly shows that flipping of a switch that is happening. For the shots where the protagonist destroys stuff like the TV and the mirror, the high frame rate options of the Red Epic really helped because we could do some really cool slow motion stuff. I don't fully remember, but I think this was either filmed at 240 or 300 FPS at 2K resolution. And then I used DaVinci Resolve Super Scale to upscale that footage. In the edit, I then also added speed ramping, a zoom, that lens distortion effect, and of course the red color grading. Okay, closing thoughts on the red and this shoot. This is not a practical camera, but it's insane that you can literally get Hollywood level image quality and features for under $3,000. If you ever get the chance to buy one yourself for a decent price, I can totally recommend it. And it was the perfect camera for this project. Mostly because this was the middle of January and everybody on set was freezing their butt off in this cellar, while I was absolutely sweating from running around with this heavy camera. Yeah, okay, that's it. Go watch the music video if you haven't already, or watch this video where I go into a lot more detail about my Red Epic kit and the finances behind buying a camera like this nowadays. Have a good one, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye bye!